Kia ora and welcome to Beer Club. I'm Luke.
I'm Joe.
This week we're drinking Belhaven Black, all the way from Scotland. Hey, how's that for a surge?
Yeah.
Belhaven, which obviously means beautiful harbour or beautiful bay in old-fashioned language. And it is a very, very recent Scottish beer from a very, very old brewery. In fact, the oldest brewery in Scotland.
Wow. That's cool.
Great acting, because we weren't just talking about this. Cheers.
Cheers.
So as I'm sure it says probably somewhere prominently on the can.
I feel like we need a proper Guinness this or else the police are going to come. I mean, mine's settled, so I think that means I'm allowed to drink it.
You realise, I wasn't going to drink it before it settled, it's nitro surge. So Belhaven they've been brewing beers there since 1719, so 306 years. And prior to that, they were probably brewing for ages as well, because there have been Benedictine monasteries in that location. So probably many more hundreds of years. But yeah, Belhaven has been in one location, brewing beers for many, many years.
So the same guys who make Buckfast might make this beer.
Buckfast is made in Cornwall.
Cornwall?
By monks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Isn't it like a real Scottish thing?
It is. Yeah. Almost all of it is sold in Scotland.
That's crazy.
It's made by monks in the south coast.
Cool.
Maybe it's Devon, but I think Cornwall.
You're ready.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Great colour head on that, just like pure white. And so nitro, as we've been talking a little bit about, what's the deal there, Joe?
So nitro obviously popularized by Guinness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
There's a ball in there, yeah.
The widget glued in. Oh yeah, wow. Safely take your can apart at home, maybe. Have a look.
It's like your Owen Wilson impression this week. You're just like, wow.
So Guinness obviously have had the widgets in their cans for a very long time.
Yeah, 90s maybe.
It looked like they came up with it in the 60s and patented it early 70s, but didn't start using it until the 80s.
Wow.
Thank you. And presumably that patent expired, or these guys have just come up with a different way to basically trap liquid nitrogen in something, insert that into the can, and then when it's cracked and the pressure releases, the change in pressure forces the nitrogen out into the beer, and then you pour hard and it slowly gets out.
Really clever idea.
Yeah, but I don't know when sort of pouring with nitrogen started, just as an alternative to CO2 maybe, but yeah, it gives these beers such a creamy texture. They're obviously low in carbonation, but yeah, just a lovely texture, a lovely way to present these types of beers that benefit from sort of being a bit more milky, a bit more creamy.
Yeah, we're smooth, and so basically nitrogen is just much smaller bubbles than CO2 that we're used to having in beer. So it just gives you that bigger mouthfeel and just actual smoothness. It's like if you drink some cream versus drinking milk. The perception of thickness, probably a bad comparison because cream actually is thicker than milk. But
there's more fat molecules which coat your mouth.
So maybe the smaller bubbles do a better job of it. And this style of beer, this dry stout, is very, very light. And it's smart technology and a fun way to do it, to put nitrogen in there, which Guinness first came up with. And it's really cool to look at old videos and old footage from the BBC and places like that, all these Parfait News things, about the old-fashioned way of making Guinness, which actually was, it was poured from two different casks. So that's where the absolute bullshit comes from these days. There's no reason whatsoever to pour it and then wait for it to settle. That does come from. It was you had your plain, and then you topped it up with two different liquids in different kegs. But part of the theatre, and hence we're talking about Belhaven here. We're not supposed to be talking about Guinness, but it's really quite impressive to see what you can do with a brand and just the ceremony that goes into it, and just how huge Guinness has become amongst the younger generations in the last couple of years, really.
I see people on Instagram stories or whatever who literally, when I knew them, a few years ago or whatever, they would never drink beer. And they're now, making Guinness part of their personality, splitting the G, and yeah, it's quite something in the world of brand and sort of pop culture. The rise Guinness has had in the past 18 months.
Amazing to see, yeah.
Yeah, I think it sort of started with Guinness Zero, didn't it? That kind of almost went viral.
Yeah,
Guinness Zero,
huge thing.
and then sort of regular Guinness piggybacked and is the biggest beer in the world right now, probably.
So Belhaven was invented to be the Scottish answer to Guinness, but it's not a new thing. It was released in 2012, so quite a few years ago. That's 13 years ago, well before any of the more recent sort of real competitors have come out of Britain and other places. And there wasn't a Scottish dry stout that was commonly available from a big brewery and sort of core range and widely distributed. So it became quite a big thing in Scotland. It's very, very commonly available in Britain, but not in New Zealand. So Joe was chatting to the importers about them getting a bit over, and you thought you'd really enjoy trying to force these tall cans with a widget into our small boxes, right?
No, they assured me they were 440s because a lot of beer, it comes in 500ml cans from Europe. And I was like, you're sure they're 440s? And I got them and they were tall, and I was like, oh, of course, because there's the extra volume of the plastic widget in there. Yeah. That's why your delivery would have had a slight bulge this month. It was pretty annoying, but got them sealed up, got them sent out. So
yeah, but cool to see the Scottish beer here in New Zealand.
Yeah, definitely, and sort of was hoping to time it for sort of St. Patrick's Week. Would have been a bit more topical, but only 1 week late.
Yeah, it's the week off. Or even better, St. Andrews. What an ideal, really.
Oh yeah,
Scottish.
I don't know when that is.
Day. And it's so the breweries are known for traditional real ale style beers and cask beers, and this has become a really big beer for them. And we have seen in Britain especially, but a little bit in New Zealand, breweries wanted to come with challenges, because the truth is that Guinness is it's a perfectly executed beer. It's a miracle of industrialization and mass production, in the same way that McDonald's cheeseburger is. But pretty much every stout or porter that you ever drink from an independent brewer is better. There's more artistry, there's more craft that goes into it. So with these brands that are coming up with competitors, it really is coming up with something that's got a uniformity, a real drinkability. And it's those things that often smaller craft breweries don't think so much about, because the recipe changes every time, and there's variety between harvest to harvest and the way that the ingredients are treated. So here in New Zealand we have Snug, Garage Project, through their version.
Yeah, beautiful. Parrot Dog Black in 6-packs, I suppose. Yep. I think that is a bit more sort of full-bodied. I guess Castle's Milk Stout is a huge seller as well, but that is definitely sweeter and less roasty, more sort of rounded malt profile. Yeah, because I find Guinness quite sort of not one note as such, but a bit more on the roasty side than something like this, or a Milk Stout, or even Garage Project Snug, and a lot drier as well. These have a little bit of residual sweetness. They're still dry compared to most stouts, but
and in Britain you've got like Brewdog a couple of years ago put out their Black Heart, which is their sort of big challenger brand to Guinness.
Yeah, and Anspach and Hobday a few years ago did London Black, trying to sort of convert all the London pubs to have their own, because porter and stout has obviously
where they're from,
huge history in London. So I guess they were right in thinking it would be really cool if London sort of adopted a London-based stout / porter, because of how much Guinness was selling in London. But I don't think it worked as such. I think it's still around and you can find it, but I think in the mainstream, finance bros and people in Gilets and Patagonia that have never seen a mountain love a Guinness and splitting the G.
Oh my God. So this is, drinking this style of beer definitely takes me back to, I lived in Belfast for a few years and drank huge quantities of these stouts. So Guinness and Beamish and Murphy's. Just drinking this, I'm really having to work to not just drink it in 2 gulps. It is just, it's such a drinkable beer, and it's like when you think back and it's like, oh, did I really used to like go out and drink 18 pints? It's like, well, yeah. It's like it's literally easier to drink than water. Like I'd find a glass this much easier to drink than water.
Yeah, I
and
do.
It's only 4.2%, which is sort of on the lower side to what people like us would usually drink now. So it's it's a very, very smashable beer style. So we haven't really talked about the flavour of it because it is so light. Like the aftertaste, there's no ridges of bitterness. There's there's not much roastiness or chocolate or coffee.
And they obviously, because of the colour of it and everything, will say, oh, coffee and chocolate. But no, I'm getting a bit more sort of biscuit and caramel out of this with only sort of notes of the more bitter and darker sort of malt characters like coffee and chocolate.
Yeah.
To me, it's a very easygoing sort of light ale. And as we often say when people talk about Guinness, a meal in a glass sort of thing, it's probably lighter than most lagers you're drinking. If you're not drinking low carb lagers. If you're just drinking a 5% Pilsner, there's probably more calories and more carbs in it than something like Guinness or
Yeah, I don't think people forget that's what dry means in a dry stout. It's the opposite of sweet. Super drinkable and beautifully made beer, and it's but yeah, definitely very different to what we're used to drinking when the interesting craft beers that we drink and the stouts. If you drink a stout, you're sort of expecting something to be big, whereas this is, I suppose, no less than that because it is a different style and it is accurate and it's true to style. But yeah, you can just it's definitely a daily drinking beer.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's cool to drink beers like this, and it's easy to forget with what we do at Beer Club. We're always looking for sort of new and exciting, but we've had at least one dry stout in my time here from Whistling Sisters. So it's cool to have this and benchmark. It's a popular beer. It's well liked, and it's spot on.
Yeah.
So any dry stout you have now, from this point on, you've tasted this, and you know sort of what you're looking for.
Exactly, yeah. And from the oldest brewery in Scotland, no less.
Although I guess, texturally and body-wise, no one has widgets in New Zealand as far as I'm aware, and only Garage Project have nitrogen cans. But I believe that's just with a little drop of liquid nitrogen, and then you quickly seal it, and then that kind of vaporizes and pressurizes the can, and that's why you have to invert the can 3 times is actually to get the nitrogen that's probably sitting on top into the solution a little bit. But yeah, cool tech, and nice that we have sort of that going on in New Zealand.
Yeah, and it is fun. It was a bigger thing a few years ago. The various bars and tap rooms would have nitro taps on. So yeah, that's often a fun way to dispense various kinds of beer, but yeah, it goes perfectly with stouts. All right, I can't talk for much longer because my glass is basically empty. I'm already dragging this out.
Yeah, it's the most you've ever drunk for one of these vids, I think.
And, we've had a pretty busy day today. We've been brewing. Small Gods have brewed their first ever fresh hop beer today. So in the comments, let us know if you can guess what style we have brewed. Do you reckon we'll get it?
No.
Okay.
No, because we didn't even get it until a week ago. So.
Yeah, we hustled pretty quickly when we realised that this certain hop variety was available. And we're like, what could we?
I think we planned like 3 different things and then landed on what we've done. So looking forward to releasing that.
And that'll be around the time of Auckland Fresh Hop, the Hop Skip and a Jump. So that is our annual official Auckland Fresh Hop Festival. So this year it's going to be here at Small Gods Tap Room, over the road at Galbraiths, a 20-minute walk to Lumsden, and then another 20 minutes down the road to Twofold in Parnell. So nice little range of beers, and be more than 20 different fresh hop beers pouring. So mark that in your diaries for about 4 weeks from now. Check online, see what the date is. Anything to add?
No, nothing from me. Fresh hop box is pretty much finalized. So just getting those cans ordered. We'll send an email out with a bit more info. Maybe not giving the whole thing away, but
yeah. More teasers. Thank Thank you for joining us. Good work to the brewers at Belhaven for making it a delicious dry stout.
I'm sure they're watching.
See you next time.
See ya.